Hey friends, I'm Mike, a late identified autistic adult, and today these neurotypicals are learning what it's like to be autistic, and apparently it looks like this.
This is an immersive training session which has the aim of giving people an idea of what it's like being autistic.
We're also going to take a look at 2 videos from the National Autistic Society, and I've quoted the National Autistic Society quite a lot on this channel, but does their TMI, virtual point of view, autism experience, really capture the experience or not?
It's a condition that affects people in very different ways and can be difficult for those who aren't autistic to understand what it's like to live with.
Yeah, but a new training scheme aims to help change some of that by allowing those taking part to experience the effects of things like sensory overload. Kevin Ashford's report does contain flashing images throughout.
Experiencing a different world. This is an immersive training session which has the aim of giving people an idea of what it's like being autistic, with the often multiple challenges of sensitivity to things like light and noise, while trying to do tasks that can feel pressured.
What was that one?
And the sign on the television, you now have 2 minutes to complete 5 tasks. It feels a little bit like a Saw movie.
Know that I'm not lying. You better hurry up. Live or die.
For some of those taking part, it can feel very close to home.
To be in my son's world. Yeah, something that we always say, we always want to be in Luke's world. So to actually be in it was actually quite emotional.
Having to complete tasks with all of the senses in the back, it was near on impossible.
Just felt like I couldn't process the simplest of tasks, and even now the kind of word finding's a little bit difficult. I'm having to really think before I talk.
It's a chance for you to ask questions.
The training's aimed at anyone who may have contact with people on the autism spectrum to raise awareness of what the disability can mean.
Can a few random strobe lights and a noisy video of a microwave on a TV really teach someone what autism feels like, especially if they've only ever met one autistic person?
500,000 people around the country have so far taken part in the autistic experience, and that now includes me.
Well, I have to say, that was pretty intense. There was all kinds of stimulus, there was noises, there was visual distortion. I was given tasks that I couldn't complete because I couldn't remember what I was supposed to be doing. And there was an overwhelming sense of frustration, really.
Being autistic is different for every individual, but the man who developed the training tool over 4 years believes that by working with those on the autism spectrum, he's managed to reflect a lot of their experiences.
The people who have autism, who go through this experience, come out and say, now you know what I keep saying, what I keep telling you. And I think that's something that happens so much that it's got to be quite close. I'm not autistic myself, but working with those 150 autistic people, 149 out of those 150 at the end of the 4 years said it's pretty much identical to what they experience.
Did they? I don't know. I don't know that he's right. I'm going to guess that he has put sort of like a little survey form in front of them, a little checkbox to say whether or not they're autistic or not, and whether or not they liked it or not. I'm not entirely sure about his methodology there, especially if he's still insisting on calling them people with autism, as opposed to autistic people.
The training tool is now set for export. It'll soon be made available in America.
Ah, there you go. So that's something the UK is exporting to the US that I think you guys will enjoy. Have fun with it. For just £1,140 plus taxes, that's around £1,400, or about $150 per person and more at the weekend, you too can experience firsthand what it's like to be an autistic person. There are many vendors in the UK who provide training experiences aimed at the healthcare professionals market. All of the carers, nurses and third sector workers who need to keep their training up to date provides the market for which the very, very many suppliers step up to meet. In general, the way autism training is often given includes a task which asks a trainee to perform a task whilst simultaneously being disorientated with sounds and lights or other sensory distractions. In that way, it's thought that someone who is allistic or non-autistic can finally experience what it is like to be autistic. I don't know what sorting coins in a psychedelic funhouse is meant to portray, but it isn't autism. It's sensory overload, sure, but autistic people often develop coping strategies that aren't really discussed. And I'm rather concerned that if people leave such training by taking away that autistic people are somehow locked in or trapped within an Alan Partridge-fevered disco dream,
the little ones,
that they'd be learning the wrong things about autism, especially if they're conflating autism with psychosis or migraines. What if a neurotypical person comes away from this training day thinking that autism is horrifying, being a terrible and unlivable condition? The back of a man's van experience feels chaotic and extreme to me, a bit like a pop-up funfair House of Horrors show. He's not the first. Autism simulators have been going on for quite some time. When the game Autism dropped back in 2013, a first-person autism simulation intended to raise awareness of autism, but ended up looking like a gameplay version of the Autism Speaks I Am Autism advert.
None of the play equipment can be interacted with, and the only relief the player gets is if they retreat to the edge of the park, away from the other children.
Well, that led to reviews like, "I feel sorry for children who really have this disease." In the game, you play as a child who gets increasingly psychotic until you move away from the other children and calm down. I mean, when I was a child in the playground, my experience was of wanting to be on my own or maybe playing alongside other children in their company, but it wasn't because I had psychosis or a migraine. It's that sensory overload is but one aspect of the autistic experience. And I stress, it's not everyone's constant companion. Some autistic people are highly sensory seeking and might well enjoy the noises, the sounds, and the textures in the back of that van. I find dry microfiber cloths on my fingers kind of stressful, but some of you strange people in my audience have told me that you even like them and might even seek them out. And it's not that autistic people are necessarily victims of their senses, being tortured by them. And it's unfair to suggest that becoming normal is somehow the default position. Noise-cancelling headphones exist, and they're frankly magical. So do sunglasses. And I find it hard to concentrate or focus on a task or conversation when there are other voices around. It doesn't mean that I'm being tortured and harassed by them and cannot cope when I accommodate myself. And I'm getting messages on my Discord and I need to do not disturb. There we go. And while I find it hard to concentrate or focus on a task sometimes, or someone in a conversation when there are other noises around, it doesn't mean that I'm constantly being tortured by them or that I cannot cope when I accommodate myself as I can as an adult. This feels to me like a migraine simulator or intense headache simulator rather than the reality of autism. Maybe it's just used as a decent conversation starter, but I'd have higher expectations from a service that's had roughly 500,000 people through it.
500,000 people around the country have so far taken part in the autistic experience.
That might walk away with some bizarre ideas about autism as a result. Also, 500,000 attendees at $150 per person is quite the large market, and it does feel a bit off to me to have somebody who's not autistic trying to teach people about what it's like to be autistic. If trainees leave thinking autism equals psychosis plus migraines, that's going to be very counterproductive, especially if they get any GPs on their course who might have other reasons to dismiss people from obtaining an autism assessment. Well, you don't see disco lights while sorting out your coins, so you can't possibly be autistic. And believe it or not, this is the level of stuff that often GPs say, including my own. So, what about the people who do know what it's like to be autistic? Well, This is the Autism TMI virtual reality experience by the National Autistic Society, and I've linked it down below if you'd like to try it.
Just wait there 1 minute, I'm just going to get a ticket, okay?
Hey, he's got dinosaur!
Alex, just 1 minute.
And the noise of somebody walking out of a shop without paying for their items. A bit of hallucination going on. Not autism, I wouldn't say. It's like an asthma attack, almost. I think it's trying to describe a meltdown. Overwhelm leading to meltdown. Vision blackening. They also have a more recorded version. Let's have a quick look at it. It's called Can You Make It to the End? And I'm pretty confident that this is set in the same location. It's a little bit shorter, and let's see what they make of that one. Okay, T-Rex plushie. Love it. Everyone should have one. Okay. Walking in. And lots of creepy sounds. The creepy ice cream van, you know. Okay. So there's an awful lot of sort of horror going on here, you know, quite a few sort of hallucinations, some, you know, auditory hallucinations, some visual hallucinations. None of those things are autism. But I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to say, you're being overloaded with stuff. It's all of this stuff coming into your senses. Now, the fact of the matter is sometimes the stuff coming into your senses can be incredibly pleasurable, and we'll get to that soon. But just while we're trying to make it to the end, I do like how all of the volume is the same level. That's kind of right in terms of not being able to differentiate or filter sounds or filter things out for some people. Focusing on details as opposed to like a bigger situation. It's quite chaotic in here. Milkshake sounds. Balloon. Smells. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
It's kind of calming himself down there, focusing. Something predictable.
Take my hand.
Let's look at a bunch of scary TV screens. And hallucination again. Okay. This kid is having a bad day. Lots of judgmental adults, or the feeling of being perceived, maybe for the parent more than the child.
I'm not naughty. I'm autistic.
Yeah,
and I just
enough.
get too much information.
I have mixed feelings. They are trying to demonstrate losing focus and awareness due to distractions that I'm presuming neurotypical people, in this case children and younger ones, might be subconsciously filtering out. But what I think gets completely lost in translation here is the whole kind of simulation gimmick, which focuses on over-dramatizing mental health effects. And it's really overlapping with a whole bunch of other physiological illnesses, mental issues, psychosis, migraines, hallucinations. The kid's dinosaur plushie and dinosaur t-shirt are cool though. And it's a real shame that it's so hard to find dinosaur themed clothing as an adult. Let me know what your favourite dinosaur is in the comments section below. And where did all the dinosaur clothes go for adults, right? Why did it suddenly get all boring? The mall itself might not be particularly autism friendly. But shopping at or near opening or closing time is a really good start. I finished the shop during the Eurovision Song Contest in the 15 minutes before the store was due to close. And for me, that's a perfect time. I know exactly what I want and my route to get everything. I'm in and out in about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes at most. I'm not being forced to endure the experience like a long-haul flight without headphones. But I feel like, so far, simulations like these feel more like the impression people will get from them is, oh, sorry you have to go through this, rather than showing either the positive aspects of an intense sensory profile or even coping strategies and how they help. Imagine if the harried autism mum here put some headphones on her kid's head, and then the hallucinations and migraine and psychosis just sort of stops. That could be a really useful explainer to people about accommodations that autistic people need. Maybe from the perspective of sensory overwhelm, it's not all about sensory overwhelm leading directly to instantaneous meltdowns. It can be, but it isn't always. For senses, imagine you're meeting a friend for coffee in a quiet coffee shop, where everything starts off quite civilized and quiet, but ambient noise starts growing as more people arrive, more drinks are made, and there's more conversations going on around you. This is my mixing desk, and if you look at this slider as the volume of my friend, it's about here, and this one can be the volume of the general background noise of ventilation, fans and whatnot. Then the specific sounds, the table next door just starts up a conversation about football and they're quite loud. Here's a chair scraping on the floor and a cash register going off, and obviously the coffee machines and it's all that noise and the lights kind of, which might not have felt too overbearing beforehand are now feeling quite so you get the picture. And I find it difficult to then separate these things. And God forbid there are multiple conversations going on at the same time, but that doesn't mean that I can't mentally shut them off, but it will mean that I'm going to struggle to give my full attention in the way that I would have to if it were, say, a work meeting. Working lunches are the worst, but let's just say I'm trying to manage and I'm trying to, I've got to kind of portray and look kind of the part as well. And then it starts to become kind of difficult, to say the least. But that's just me, and maybe a great deal of you all too. I've grown able to laser focus on just one thing at a time, even if it means some level of disassociation. I think the autism in the back of a van man's experience is doable. I reckon I could do it. Maybe I'm feeling a bit competitive now that I've watched it and seen a whole lot of neurotypicals fail at it. I might not enjoy it, but I reckon I could push through, and I'm autistic. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a bit stubborn, or maybe it's a sense of PDA kicking in, or maybe I'm just practiced at shutting down my senses like a camel in a sandstorm. The camel in a sandstorm, that's a funny metaphor. Sensory science. What does the science say? Around 90% of autistic adults report hyper, a lot, or hypo, not very much, sensitivity to sights, sounds, or textures, according to recent research. We also know that overstimulation, especially if it's uncontrolled and relentless, can trigger meltdowns, which is the outward overflow of big distressed reactions, or shutdowns, which is much more internal. But it's not so linear and not so simple. Sensory profiles vary widely, hugely. Some autistic people seek really intense input, like they're looking for it, and others avoid it. And sometimes people are somewhere in the middle. Flickering fluorescent lights are my nemesis, but the deep pressure of 1,000 cats can help me. And it's why I enjoy the water so much, the ocean. Some of you might eat fairly bland food. Others might love chili, eating different things every day, hot things. Some of you might seek out proprioceptive stimulation. You might want to move your body, feel the motion, or not. You might love roller coasters, or you might just enjoy being still. When researchers talk about sensory differences in autistic people, at least in the last 20 years, they've tended to use the ASP. No, not that ASP, or that ASP, but the Adolescent Adult Sensory Profile, one of the few measurements aimed at autistic adults and not children. In fact, it's for people aged 11 years and older. The tool measures responses to sensory experiences across 4 quadrants: low registration, sensory seeking, sensory sensitivity, and sensory avoiding. And it's frequently used in clinical settings, research studies, therapeutic assessments, particularly for autistic people and those with sensory processing differences. Healthcare professionals use this tool extensively because it's one of the few validated assessments specifically designed for older individuals other than children. It consists of about 60 items that evaluate responses to everyday sensory experiences. Let me know if you'd like a video deep diving into the ASP. But for now, I just wanted to signpost it. I couldn't make the video without mentioning it. The National Autistic Society also put together a video about processing time. It's not a simulation exactly, but let's watch it.
Perfect. Come on then, have a great day. Thanks for keeping an eye on it.
Off somewhere fun today? Are you all right?
Actually, I'm going to quickly pause it there. Did you notice how the second question, "Are you all right?" from the bus driver, it literally lands before she's had a chance to file away the first question and think about how she feels about it? I really like that, and I like that example as well, how they've done it there.
Off somewhere fun today? Are you all right?
This is called the multisensory integration window, or at least that's what researchers call it. Stick with me here. Research into comparing autistic populations with general populations show that autistic people need a fraction more time. It's around 3 to 5 extra seconds on average. This is for our wonderful autistic brains to piece together all the input into a single coherent thought. It's what you're seeing and what you're hearing and what's being said. It doesn't mean that you're stupid or slow. It's like this. So she was asked, "How are you?" And a neurotypical person might respond immediately with a heuristic or an Uno reverse card and say, "Fine, how are you?" Instant, almost thoughtless, almost subconscious. An autistic person has to unpack these sub-questions. And she'll be like, "What does the bus driver want to know? What should I say?" But while you're thinking all of this, the next question lands, and so on, and so on. And eventually you might end up just falling embarrassingly far behind. And I suspect this has a lot to do with how autistic communication styles differ from neurotypical ones. But let's watch the rest of this.
What gift have you got, Sam? It's just a calculator.
Off somewhere fun today? Are you all right? Off somewhere fun today?
What? Bus driver is apparently in an abandoned parking lot, staring through a chain link fence, going, "Oh, off somewhere."
What gift did you get, Sam? Is it a calculator?
Okay, I'm not keen. The video is called "Make It Stop," and I'm really not keen on this hallucination thing. It's like, in order to describe the autistic lived experience to neurotypicals, we have to resort to hallucinations and mental illnesses, which I think it can lead people to go, "Oh, I'm sorry about that."
Sorry, did he scare you?
Yes.
Is it a calculator? What gift did you get? Is it a calculator?
What are you doing? You trying to kill yourself? Are you blind?
Have you seen this epic fail? What's that, Mom? Have you seen this epic fail?
Somewhere fun today?
Somewhere fun today?
What are you doing? You trying to kill yourself? Are you blind?
Sorry, did he scare you? Is it a calculator? Sorry, did he scare you? I thought you
What was your name?
We're out of napkins. Do you want to see the special?
So it gets past.
Are you okay? How can I help?
I'm autistic, and sometimes I get too much information.
Yeah, That's part of the too much information campaign. I feel like, you know, when you have one question coming in, then another one, then another one, then another one, then another one, and another one, before your brain has had a chance to kind of catch up. I feel like that plays into how autistic communication differs mechanically from neurotypical communication. Two autistic people might prefer info dumping styles over this rapid fire small talk because it leaves space for processing time. You might also be a very, very tired, high-masking autistic person who has studied the small talk like it's an extreme sport. Raise your hand if I've called you out. And I really want to say, if you're hearing all of this and thinking, that this is you and that you're really broken, you're not broken and you're not alone. At the risk of sounding like a cliche, it is literally just a difference in how our brains are wired. Maybe you're not autistic and you're wondering, well, what do I do about this? What do I do? And you're looking for hints and tips as to how to manage your relationships with your autistic loved ones. Well, if you ask them a question, don't just ask them another one, like straight up, like particularly within 4 seconds, right? On average, just a tip. And in this video, like her meltdown shutdown wasn't caused by flashing lights or screeching sounds or being trapped in the back of a van with a man who doesn't have any candy. It was caused by too many questions, too fast. And that's a reality for so many autistic people. I mean, if you have the expectation of feeling like you need to give people an answer, you could just like assert your dominance and just fucking ignore them. But these are your options, right? Especially when you're younger and you don't know and you're desperately trying super hard to fit in before, you know, age and experience kind of catches up with you and you go, yeah, actually, I'm just going to find my tribe now. I'm done with that. Yeah, it causes a great deal of stress. I'm going to say great deal of stress. I'm underestimating here. This video it didn't get made because I was watching the Eurovision. Did anyone else see it? Did your favourite act win? We were chatting about it on my Discord server's seasonal channel last night, which is always a fun time. Last week, I answered a whole bunch of questions that people had about autism, and on my Patreon as a bonus for all tiers, I've answered a few more. Now that video will be going live in the next few days. There will also be a Patreon exclusive reaction to what I've watched previously, and I think is actually a really, really good autism simulation of a girl at a party, seeing how she copes and how she manages. So that will be up very, very soon too, from a party point of view. Watch this YouTube video next, it's gonna be a good one. And from me to you, for now, bye bye, see you soon.
Off somewhere fun today?